Well, good morning. Welcome to, today is September 4th, 9/4 or 4/9, depending on where you're from. 9 plus 4 equals 13. And it's the day they announced the GoPro Hero 13. I'm pretty sure all that was on purpose. I don't know if that was on purpose. I'm gonna check my audio real quick because I've been having an issue. Welcome to. Okay. I think my audio is good. For some reason, I can't get a super loud signal today, and I don't know why. I tried different systems. Anyway, so if my volume's a little low, I apologize. You might have to crank your speakers. Otherwise, we're good. And we're going to talk about GoPros and stuff today because that is, I don't know, because that's what they announced today, and it's super fun, and it's kind of cool. They sent the 13 like a week ago. I don't have to do anything with it. We can talk about that later, but it's just kind of neat that like I've been using it. I've been working on outlining a review for it because I do like making GoPro reviews a lot, and it just sort of worked out that the day they actually announced it, there was a free morning and I could like do a stream. So I thought that would be extremely fun. All right, the low audio is just a thing. There's nothing I can do about it. I'm actually going to pin a comment so I don't have to keep answering that throughout the stream. Audio is low. Let's see, no, apologies for low audio. Nothing I can do about it. Okay. And we're going to pin that comment because, yeah. All right. It sounds, the quality is fine. The volume is low. I don't know why. I tried switching, tried using the ATEM, tried using direct USB-C. No idea why. It's just one of those fun things. My eCam is maxed out at 100%. So there's nothing I can do there. All right, we'll just ignore that and move on to other stuff. So let's see here. I appreciate everyone showing up, again, with very little notice. If you have a specific question about this or about something else, feel free to throw it in the chat and I'll do the best I can to get to it. No, I don't think, I was having an idea. I was almost having an idea to fix the audio. Mark, what a nice young man. Yeah, you can just pull up the volume, but I know when people join the stream, they're gonna be like, why is the audio low? And it's just gonna, it's just gonna keep happening. I'm almost having an idea. I don't want to delay this, but if you'll bear with me, I might be able to solve this, maybe. So let's see. Let's pull the old Sennheiser out. So I've tried running through the ATEM, no luck. I've tried running through the, just right now I'm using the Rode Wireless Pro just through USB-C. For some reason that's low. My eCam volume is maxed out, but I'm wondering if I run my old little Sennheiser here through my camera, sorry, I'm gonna step out of the shot for some reason here. Let's see, hopefully you can still hear me. Yeah, okay, let's try this. Let's put that there. We'll just hope it doesn't fall. I'm gonna see if I can run an HDMI source. So now there's like, that's too complicated. I was trying, yeah, it's too complicated. I don't want to take too much time there. Okay, we're just gonna move on from audio, say adios to talking about audio, because it is what it is. So there we go. All right, we're gonna move into GoPro stuff and talking about that mainly. If you want to talk about other stuff too, that's awesome. Probably towards the end we can do that as well. But I appreciate everyone being here. Audio Hotline, especially appreciate you here. I know you have a big day happening and I wish you all the best in that day. Let's see here. Thanks, I appreciate this. Kind words. Cool, there we go. So here's where we're at, actually. This is kind of cool. I love GoPros. I've used them for a long time. GoPro did send me this at no cost. This is not an officially sponsored thing, but I have to check the little box because they sent me the camera. I did not pay for this camera, but I have paid for a lot of GoPros. I bought my first one in 2011. I really like GoPros, and GoPro has always been very cool. The past several years that they've sent cameras to me, they have never even remotely hinted at asking for anything specific. They've never said like, you need to do this, say this. Like I don't have to make videos, do streams, say anything at all. the way that I actually connected with GoPro is pretty fun. I had my, here it is, my Hero 7. I actually just saw a question. This is relevant. I can tie it all together. Ernesto asked, what is the name of the poles that you can attach lighting or accessories to? They're Varipoles, VARI poles, or auto poles. And I have one right here that goes from floor to ceiling. I'm sure you'll see it when I start plugging in the GoPro and stuff. And I used to have my Hero 7 mounted to it as like a fishbowl camera. So at the beginning of live streams, you kind of see the whole studio and stuff, which was fun. And I think it was right when the 10 was coming out, the Hero 10, someone from GoPro just happened to be watching the stream, and they noticed, they sent me an email. They're like, I watched your stream. It was awesome. I noticed you're using an older camera. Do you want to check out a newer one? And I was like, yeah, sure. And that was kind of how we started our relationship. That is literally it. There's nothing else. There's nothing there. So it's not like, yeah, so it's nothing there, which is really fun. So I don't have to do anything about it. I'm excited about GoPros. The thing I wanted to cover about iterative technology, things that are released every year. See, I have a 13 right here. Let me get this shot in focus. You know, technical difficulties are fun. We'll go back to me until I can get this shot in focus. I think I messed up my tracking when I went over here. The thing that's interesting about iterative products, things that get updated every year, why does my lens hate me today, is that they don't make massive revolutionary leaps every single year. So when something is first released, like the iPod or the iPhone or whatever, every time there's a new one, I think I'm just gonna turn this camera off and back on because something's weird. Every time there's a new one, it's like the biggest, you know, going from like the iPod with a green screen to the iPod with a color screen to an iPod that can do photos to a video iPod to a touch iPod or a phone and all that stuff. It's pretty cool. Same thing with the iPhone, like the original iPhone and the iPhone 3G. Like there was huge leaps. Sorry, I'm trying to get this, like, I don't know what is going on today. Do I need to like cancel my tracking? What is happening here? Touch tracking, yes, that would be great. There we kind of go. All right, that was weird. But as the technology matures, see, there we go. Now we got a nice clear shot of the 13. As the technology matures, those leaps are smaller and smaller. And so when you have products like GoPros or phones or even cars, anything that's updated every year, like every year you're not going to get the most revolutionary thing. And I think that's important in terms of like keeping expectations in line with things, you know, like a GoPro or a camera or a computer or phone or whatever. But I will say the 13 has some of the biggest changes in a number of years for the GoPro because we've got new lenses, new mounts, new battery, and the return of GPS, which is a feature that was not on last year's camera. So there are some pretty big changes. And the cool thing about these smaller changes is that if you're somebody, I guess the positive way to look at it is that anytime you buy something, you're gonna get like pretty much the best possible version. Even if you bought a Hero 12, you know, a month ago, I guess still a really good camera. You know, like nothing gets super eclipsed. Whereas if something has like a 5-year product cycle and you buy it and a month later a new one comes out, it's gonna be like, wow, I feel really terrible that I didn't get the brand new one. That's a bummer. So you're kind of getting the best version of everything. If you're somebody who wants to update every single year, that's where it's going to be like every phone you have feels the same, every GoPro you have feels the same. But if you're somebody who updates every few years, every time you update, it's going to be like a huge leap. Like I went from the iPhone XR to the iPhone 14 Pro, and that was like, these are the same thing? That's crazy. And that's really fun. So kind of talking about like, you know, what we're expecting. Good Lord, autofocus. I swear everything works fine when I practice and I set everything up, it's all working great. And then when I hit go live, it does not go live. But that's the beauty of live streaming, right? So anyway, they sent a couple of the lenses over. I just want to go through what this camera do, show you some things. If you got questions about it, I also do have my outline that I've been working on for my review, which I'm gonna kind of just run through. I did some preliminary overheating tests. I kind of hate doing overheating tests because I think they're kind of ridiculous in some ways. But let me tease this. The results for this were freaking ridiculous in a good way. And I'm very excited about that. So Scott Kramer. Oh, there we go. I'm fangirling out right now. Let's see here. Could you hook this up to an A10 Mini Pro for another angle? Yes, and I'm going to do that. But in order to do that, I have to put it in. Here we go. I have to use this. So the reason I was using my Hero 7, well, it was the only camera I had at the time, but it was also because, so here's what I'm going to do, is I'm going to wait for the shot to come in focus again, and then I'm going to pop off the battery door. I'm going to pop this in the media mod because after the GoPro Hero 7, there's no built-in HDMI port in the GoPro. You have to pop it in the media mod now. That means then you have an HDMI port on the media mod. I can plug this in. Doop. I can turn this on. And now, there we go. We're waiting for it to boot up a little bit here. Oh, I think I have a little thing I have to scan. Because I was playing around with GoPro Labs, which is kind of a cool thing that maybe we could talk about later. I just need to change. This is how I can change camera settings. It's pretty cool. Boom. That's fun. I didn't know you had to do that every time, though. I thought it was a one and done situation. Okay, so there we go. That gave me clean, that's not the right, that gave me clean HDMI. So yes, I added this to the ATEM. There we go, GoPro. This is on linear mode. So this is the least like fisheye look. But we're gonna switch out lenses and do some fun stuff like that. So it is super fun to, you know, one thing I like to do is I have this clampy mount, which I like to clip to the headstock of like a guitar, and then you have a really cool, I'll show you. Why not, right? Let's take the bass. Oh wait, that's, I'm jumping way ahead of myself because we haven't even talked about the mounts, and I don't have the right mounts on here for that yet. But anyway, we'll get there. We'll get there. We'll do all the fun stuff. Alrighty. So let's start. Let's keep this organized. How about? Because I'm so excited that I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's go through the initial comments. I'm going to share some of my thoughts with you so far, talk about some of the things the camera can do, and then I'll dive into other questions and things. If there's stuff you want me to try or stuff you want to know about, we can do all of that. I think that's the best way that makes sense for this sensor. Bronson, you are a very nice man. Thank you very much. All right, jumping into comments. If I miss you, I apologize, but I'm happy everybody is here. What are the external mic options for GoPro? My older one was kind of a pain. Yeah, it all comes down to this media mod thing. This is pretty much it, because you clip the camera in here, and then this gives you a 3.5 millimeter mic. It gives you USB-C for charging, or I guess webcam, and then it also gives you HDMI, micro HDMI out. That's kind of the way to do it, and it also has accessory shoe mounts on it. So that's kind of the way to do external mics. You can do with Bluetooth, you can do, starting with the Hero 12, you can do like AirPods, whatever year it is, you can do AirPods and pair those to the GoPro, which works okay. I tried that out in my Hero 12 review from last year, so you can hear what it sounds like. It sounds kind of like a Zoom call. It's not like super crisp audio, but it gets the job done. I mounted mine on like the outside of the car, and I was driving around talking on the inside of the car, and you can hear me, and that was kind of cool. So it was pretty fun. That's kind of the option, I guess, like maybe one of the best options there. Let's see here. Mark wants a cat. Yes. Lav mics. I use lav mics pretty frequently. Anytime I need to do something like this, where if I didn't want to have a mic here that I had to like tell you about a camera and like keep my head positioned where I wasn't going to move, and I was thinking of using my boom mic, which might have been smart, but I feel like I'm going to be moving around a lot today, and it's just one less thing to think about. The mic is stuck to me, and that works out really well. Ernesto has a GoPro Hero 8 that I still use on vacation. I do have kind of my recommendations for what I think an upgrade is worth it. Yeah. What are the current competitors for action cams? GoPro, DJI, Insta. That's it, really. Those are the three big ones, and they all come out with cool stuff. Can you make a video on how to set up the Elgato Wave Link with the Shure MV7 Plus or anything? I haven't used the Elgato Wave Link, so it's got to be relatively simple because Elgato is really good at simplifying things, but I'm not sure. Let's see. GoPro is here. They heard. That's cool. Enjoying the new camera and lenses. Thanks for saying. Yeah, this thing's awesome. GoPro's always been super cool. And a cool thing too, I will say, this is true for pretty much, I don't do a lot of like sponsored stuff or branded things, but you kind of notice like the same brands, like maybe it's Rode or GoPro or Sennheiser or Artlist or whatever. Any of the brands that I have had the chance to like communicate with or partner with in any way, I've pretty much worked with the same people at those brands the whole time I've known them. In some cases for many, many years, like GoPro I've talked to people from GoPro for the last 4 years, and it's been the same people the whole time, which is really cool. It's not like every 2 months there's a new person that's like now the new, community person. There we go. So here we go. Is this the hero Gotham wants, the hero that it needs? I just thought it was clever as doing the thumbnail. But let's talk about the new GoPro. I kind of have my outline. I do have my outline for my review I'm working on. And I thought I might just sort of go through that and we can touch on some of the points. You can almost help me proof it too. So if there's something I'm missing or something that you want me to include in the review, we can do that. The 3 big changes with this GoPro, the 3 big changes with the Hero 13 are the lenses, because you have interchangeable lenses, OEM interchangeable lenses. So there's always been like add-ons and things you could buy or third-party things, but now you have official GoPro lenses that you can put on here, which are recognized automatically. So you don't have to change any settings. Once you add a new lens, it knows what you're doing and it adds that, which is very cool. There is a new battery for the first time, I think, since the Hero 8. So the bummer with the new battery is you have to get new batteries. I only have 1 battery on this, which is why I have it off right now, because like I can't replace the battery if it dies during the stream. You can power it through USB, I suppose. So that's a bummer. It is a bigger battery. Let me grab, here's the new battery. They call it, I think it's just a bigger Enduro battery. And here is the previous generation of battery. So physically, let's see. Physically, this is the new one. No, this is the new one. Sorry, I was backwards there. I guess they're not that different in size. They're slightly different in shape, but the old battery, I forget the exact thing. The old one, I know capacity-wise, it's a pretty big jump. I think this is 1900. I wrote it in my notes. Power, new battery, 10% larger capacity. I feel like I remember them saying 1900 milliamps, but I could be wrong. I'm sure it's on the website. I didn't realize they're so close in size. So unfortunately, you do need new batteries. The good news there, though, is that GoPro batteries do tend to be pretty cheap. So as soon as they're available to order some, I'm going to order a bunch more because I want to have plenty of batteries. And the other thing they changed is the mount. For the first time in a long time, they changed the mount. They kind of did what DJI's been doing for a while. But I think they did it in a great way, because a cool thing, it's almost like my Apple Watch, right? The first Apple Watch was announced like 10 years ago, but you can take, actually this watch band that I have, this blue watch band came with my original Series 0 Apple Watch. And this is, I don't know what this one is, the 9, I think. This is last year's Apple Watch. It still fits. Like it's the same thing. GoPro mounts are kind of the same. I can literally take, the first GoPro I ever had was this bad boy right here, the Hero HD, and I can literally, it's got the same mounting fingers on the bottom as the Hero 13. So I can still use like literally the accessories I bought with my original GoPro, I can still use with the newest one that was just announced today, even though they were announced 13 years apart. That is pretty cool. The problem with that, though, from the company side, is then you get sort of stuck, because it's like, when Apple changed from the 30 pin to the Lightning to USB-C for phones, it's like, oh, all the accessories, all the cables, all the infrastructure has to change. And I think GoPro is really, really smart here. So what they did, starting with, I think it was with the, let me see, I can go historically here. Yes, it was starting with the 12. So the Hero 12, that's this one, had the same fingers, the built-in, mounting fingers, but it also had a 1/4-20. And for a long time, you could buy these little like replacement parts on Amazon. You could find third parties and you would just unscrew the original. Because here's like the Hero 11. it doesn't have that. It is just, there's nothing there. You have to use the mounting fingers. This, you got a 1/4 20 right in there, which is incredibly helpful. And the 13 is exactly the same. Come on, my focus. You can do it. You can do it. We'll just get back here. There we go. The 13 is the same, except something they changed, which is very cool. I had it already. Is they did take a page out of, we'll say, other companies' books, and now you can do magnet mounts. So that is also just, listen how satisfying it is to just click this in. It's really, really nice. And that's all that goes into like very firmly connecting the camera is magnets. So the magnetic mounts, that's this thing right here. It kind of looks like this. It's metal, there's fingers, and it has little squeezy bits right there. This clips right in the bottom, and then there you go. So if you look at the mount on the bottom, the fingers are sort of shaped a little differently because these end parts here and sort of these things in here, there's magnetic parts that pull this in and hold it really tight. And that's all you got to do then. So you can take this magnetic mount, attach it to any of your traditional mounts that you already have, and now you can take something like this. I can pop the GoPro on it, boom, done, ready to go. They also did come out with a, speaking of the power side of things, I don't have this, I want to order it though. You can replace the battery door with a different one that has, call it contacto. And so it's basically a magnetic power thing that can just goes right onto the side, so you can have a magnetic mount and magnetic power, which is very cool for times when, like, if you have this mounted somewhere, like say inside a car and you have power running to it, you have a magnetic mount, and then you stop and you want to grab the camera, it's just like doot doot, done. You don't have to spend time unscrewing anything or fiddling with anything or anything like that. That's pretty cool. I'm excited to get that. I know one of the guys from GoPro said that he had been, like, his kids are on a swim team, and he had been able to put the camera at the bottom of the pool with the power cable, with the magnetic contacto power cable attached to it. So run like an indefinitely powered camera at the bottom of a pool, which is pretty awesome. So I'm excited for that accessory. I don't have that one yet. I'm really excited for that. So we got a bigger battery, which does give better battery life. We got the new lenses, got the new mounts. So the cool thing with the mounts is I think they did a really good job of bringing in new functionality, and now it's sort of everything. You have the original fingers, you have magnets, and you have 1/4 20. So whatever you want to use or swap between them, you can do all that with just the one camera. They didn't take away any functionality, they only added functionality, and that is awesome. I think it's a hard thing to do. That's a hard balance for a brand, for a company to strike. All right, let's see here. The battery disappointment, I don't know how that works. I saw Peter's video, like I was watching it during the countdown to mine, so I didn't know that. The battery thing, they've used the same batteries for 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, for 5 generations. I'm okay if we need to change the batteries. They are very similar form factor. I didn't realize how similar they were. But my guess, as somebody who has an English degree and not an electrical engineering degree, especially looking inside, I don't know anything about this stuff, but I would guess maybe the higher capacity battery, I don't know, needed different internals or something. I don't know how that works, but I'm sure they have a reason. I don't think they just wanted to upset everyone by changing the batteries. And if they change them every generation, I would be frustrated. If they change them every 5 generations, I'm totally cool with buying, you know, some new $20 or $30 GoPro batteries every 5 years. Like, I don't have a problem with that. Let's see here. Can I stream direct to YouTube? Wait, anything that's not GoPro related, I'm going to save till the end. So totally welcome to ask non-GoPro stuff, but I'm just trying to stay on topic for now. And let's see here. Oh, they also released, which I don't have, they released another camera called just the Heroes. This is the Hero 13. They released the Hero, which has an MSRP of $199, and it is super tiny. It's supposed to be like the size of like an AirPods case, basically, and it has a screen on the back, but that's it. Like, no custom settings, nothing. It's just like photo, video. I don't know if there's slow-mo or something. And that's kind of it. Just like simple, you know, if you just want an action camera, you don't have to think about that. I thought that was really cool. Let's see here. There we go. I got to hear the Foo Fighters rehearse. A couple weeks ago, we were in San Diego, really near Petco Park, and it was the day before they played, but they were doing like sound checks and rehearsals, and it was really, really cool. I don't know what we're talking about, but yeah, I get to age gracefully. All right, so let's talk about some of the stuff. Let's talk about lenses. Talk about lenses. So lends me your ears. So GoPro announced 3 lenses. I have 2 of them because the one I'm most excited about, unfortunately, doesn't come out until, I guess it's like early next year. But there's a couple of them already. So they have this one, which is the ultra wide lens. This is very similar to the max lens mod that had been around, but it's supposed to be a little bit wider, and it's auto detect. So any lens that you use with the Hero 13, any GoPro lens will be automatically detected by the camera, which is very cool. Previously, if you put a max lens mod on here, you have to go into the camera and tell it that you're using that, otherwise things look weird. You can use the older max lens mods on the new camera, but you can't use the new lenses on the old cameras. So just something to be aware of. And I think that's all those internals and stuff. And then there's this one, which is very fun. This is the one I've been using the most. These little cases are a little tricky. These are the ones I've been using the most. This is the macro lens, which is almost the most practical one because it lets you get macro stuff, but it has a manual ring on it. I don't know if you're able to see. It has a manual ring that you can basically turn from macro to infinity focus. And so if you want to keep using the camera, if you have the macro lens on here and you want to keep using it to just film normal stuff, you just turn that over and you're good. But if you want to film stuff really close, you can then turn it to macro. And that's kind of cool. So that's like, that's more versatile than this, but it's big, so it's not going to fit in like the underwater housing or anything. Then they also announced an anamorphic lens that I am very excited about, which will automatically de-squeeze the footage inside the camera for you. I want that lens so badly, but it's not available yet. And actually, the thing they sent that had all the stuff in it, I don't know if I can show this clear, but it, like, I opened it up and it had the lenses, so it had, you know, it had all the bits in here, all the lenses and stuff. And I was like, oh, wow, like there's the filters. Oops, the filters came off. There's the lens thing. And then I tried grabbing the anamorphic lens, which is just a picture of the anamorphic lens that says coming soon. But I was like, it was so out, like, I felt really kind of dumb. That was fun, though. So I'm very excited for that one. I love anamorphic stuff, and I think it's really cool. The sample footage they showed looked amazing, which of course is going to look amazing, but very excited to be able to use anamorphic lenses on a GoPro. And then they also released, that's not the right input, they also released a bunch of ND filters, which are very cool. So there's ND 4, 8, 16, and 32, which are also, again, the camera will recognize them automatically. So when you put them on the camera is going to be able to adjust any other settings necessary to help you get the right exposure. And if you want, depending on your settings, the camera can also recommend, say you put ND8 on, it could tell you like, use ND16 instead. It won't say that, it'll just have a little arrow that says like up or down with the number you should be using. That's pretty cool. The thing, which I understand because I don't know how it works, I don't know the technical, what's in these, that they need to be attached to the camera in order for like all that auto detect to work. It would be neat if the NDs just kind of slipped over the camera instead of needing to, over the lens instead of needing to replace the lens. So the way that you do that is pretty much like any camera for a long time. I found this is not as easy as you would think, but you want to keep it water sealed. You just twist it and then pop off. There's the default lens. The actual camera lens is right there. And then you can put on one of these other ones. So we'll put on the macro one. And I do like, just like with the DSLR, they put like blue and blue so you can line up the parts, and then you twist, and then there we go. And this is how I've been using the camera most of the time, which is significantly bigger and heavier than the other cameras. So you got a bigger battery, you got bigger lenses. The camera definitely feels a little bit bigger. it's not. It, you know, it fits in the same medium mod, but when you have a bigger battery and a bigger lens, you're sacrificing a little bit of weight. But I was kind of thinking it's almost like Apple with the MacBooks when they made them a little bit bigger for a bigger battery, a little bit bigger to bring some ports back. I'm okay with it feeling a little heavier if it gives us all that extra functionality. So actually, I can't put it in the media mod to show you the macro mode until I put it in first. So let's do that. So pop this in here. And the bummer with the media mod, all I want is the HDMI. I don't need all the other stuff. But the big bummer is that it requires you, it automatically switches to the media mod's microphone, which previously in cameras like 8 and 9, this was a better microphone. 10, 11, and now 12 and 13, I feel like the inside microphone on the camera is better than the media mod microphone, and so you lose the, yeah. Anyway, so this is pretty big. This is a chunky boy when it's in the media mod with the thingamajig there. So let's turn it on. Let's get some clean HDMI going. And let's plug it in. So let's see, let's change a couple settings first. I'm doing everything at 30 today, so we're gonna switch to 30. There we go, 4K 30. I don't think we need wide on the macro. We'll do linear. And we'll plug it in. And I forgot I was on that camera view, I'm sorry. All right, so I must have changed something because I'm getting like a 4:3. Oh, I did. Oops. I was using 4:3 aspect ratio. I keep bumping the touch screen as I'm trying to switch this over. There we go. Now we've got, there we go. We're using the macro lens, which as you notice, pretty much looks exactly the same. But let's take, let's put this Hero 12 right here. Let's get really close to it and let's turn this, yeah, we're into the macro thingy. There we go. Sorry, I'm trying to look at my screen here. There we go. So now we have, I don't know if you can tell. There, you can kind of see how close I am in this one. I'm, half a finger length from my middle knuckle to my fingertip over there. And now I'm able to get the camera in focus. If you've used GoPros before, you know that close-up focus with any action camera, because they have fixed focus, is not something that's easy to do. And now you can get stuff that's up really close. I have some really fun dog-related footage that I'm going to include in my review. But a cool thing though is I can turn the focus ring, you're going to see it go out of focus, but now everything else is back in focus. So I can still use the macro lens for normal stuff, not just macro things. You're not limiting yourself to, I can only do super close-up stuff with this lens if I have it on. You can still do normal things and then go and switch it over, whoop, and get all your macro stuff happening, which is pretty fun. And for streaming and stuff too, it's kind of cool. So I like that. Let's see here. I closed my comment window on accident. There we go. Let's see here. Got some lenses. Can the 13 be used to live stream? Yes, just like the previous ones can. I'm using it through HDMI, so that way you can see all the different effects. Currently, through USB, you can use the ultra-wide lens to stream, but you can't use the other ones currently. So it limits the functionality, which wouldn't have been great for this stream because I wanted to show you all the different lenses and all the different stuff. So I'm using HDMI today through the media mod. But yes, you can use it as a USB camera. I do that quite a bit. I don't like that it limits so much of the camera's functionality, but they make great USB webcams. You can take out the battery and just power it through USB and then it will go indefinitely, which is pretty awesome. Hey, Logan, as a longtime Final Fantasy XIV player in videography, yeah. I'm level 54 Black Mage, there we go. Not a bayonet mount, it's just a rotating mount, but I should say something that does sort of freak me out a little bit, which I've accidentally done a few times. I guess it's durable. When you have this off and the camera's actual lens is exposed, when you have just the normal cover that comes with it, If this breaks or cracks, like, you can replace this very inexpensively. If this breaks or cracks or gets scratched, this guy, it's just part of the camera. And you have to be kind of careful putting this on there, because I've noticed a few times I've taken the inside and accidentally hit the lens itself. So it's like, you gotta be a little bit delicate putting that on there. It's a little bit finicky, but once it's on, then it clicks in. And the more that I have switched the lens, the more I've switched the lens, the easier it has become to take it off. So there we go. Low light performance, I haven't done a ton of tests with this one yet. That's obviously gonna be part of my review. It should be pretty much the same as previously because it's the same sensor, so should be there. The camera is the same physical size, like I'm using it right now. Exact same media mod that the previous ones go in. It's a little bit heavier. I did a weight, I forget what it was. It was like 15 or 20 grams heavier. So not huge, but in a small camera that makes a difference. Oh, what is it you're scanning? Yeah, so I'll show you this. This is actually really cool. I got to give a shout out to my friend Aaron Parecki for this. So if I turn off the camera, and, oh, I guess it won't let me turn off there. Okay, I'm going to turn on the camera and plug it into HDMI. It does this thing with the media mod, and I don't know why it does this. And I mean, obviously, someone somewhere thought this was a good idea, but you'll see the GoPro splash screen, and then it's going to take you into the like the gallery, and you can use the touch screen to kind of navigate. I don't want that though. I want to see the camera, so I have to, even though I can't see anything on the touch screen, this is actually what I have to use to navigate through here. So I can go to camera, and now I'm in camera mode, but I got a bunch of schmuckus all over the screen, so I got to go over to the eye, and then I can take that off and get somewhat clean HDMI. I don't know why I got that black bar over there. That's weird right now. So something that my friend Aaron Parecki showed me. I'm going to turn off the camera again. There's a thing called GoPro Labs, and I did not realize this was a thing, and it is pretty cool. It's almost like a free beta community. And what GoPro Labs is, maybe I could even do a screen share. Well, yeah, actually I can't. I'll just use the GoPro to do a screen share. If I can. Actually, I don't know if I can right now. Let's see. No, I should be able to. It should be fine. So I'm going to go through that whole thing. What GoPro Labs is it lets you like kind of be experimental with camera settings and change more than you can change in the camera, and it's all done through QR codes, and it's free, which is pretty cool. And so you kind of go through there, you install some firmware on the camera, basically you download some files, put them on a memory card, put the memory card in the camera, and it will take those. And then what you do is you go through their thing, and you kind of generate like a custom QR code, and that then will change these settings that you couldn't otherwise change. So going back to the GoPro, we have the stuff on the screen, right? You can see the memory card, you see the battery. So there's GoPro Labs. They kind of tell you what to do. I don't want to scan that code. I made a QR code that if I scan it, you see that little checkbox that popped up? It's not, why is it not scanning? Maybe because I have HDMI plugged in. I think the media mod was screwing it up. There we go. I just scanned that, and now it should have changed those settings. So when I plug the camera in again, it should just by default go to clean HDMI. I don't know what I did. I think I did something in my ATEM to make it sideways there. That's weird. Let's see. There we go. That's user error right there. But that just was an easy way of every time I was turning the camera on and off, instead of me having to go in and do that whole touchscreen thing, I could just scan the QR code, it would change the setting, and then I would get clean HDMI. It would be really nice if I could just plug the HDMI in and it was clean from the get-go, but it is not. So GoPro Labs though, pretty cool. And you can do also, I'm using it for the GoPro thing, but you can change like, you can get real crazy with the settings that you change in there. It's pretty fun. I didn't know about this. So if you've never checked out Aaron Parecki on YouTube, definitely check him out. Let's see here. How do you feel about hardware encoders for streaming? I like them. I mean, I always stream through Ecamm because I love the software, but anytime you can take the processing power for streaming off of the computer as much as possible. I am a fan of that. Overheating, you know what? Yes, let's talk about overheating. Oh boy, I'm fired up for this one. This is a hot button issue right here. So I don't remember, okay. Overheating is like my least favorite thing to deal with because I find it it's so frustrating because you're dealing with so many people's different uses that nobody's ever going to be happy. I don't remember the exact numbers and I apologize. I need to find this info. But there was something, I think I got this from GoPro directly, but don't quote me on that. This was several years ago too. It was something like, I think it was 75 or 80% of all GoPro footage ever filmed is under 15 minutes in length. Of that 75, 80%, it was like 95% of it is less than 3 minutes in length. So that means that the vast majority, the vast majority of people who are using GoPros or action cameras are filming a couple of minutes at a time. The people who are doing the opposite, which I do too, I film hockey games, I stick this to the glass and film for 2 hours at a time or whatever. The people who are doing that are the minority. And so when the company needs to make something like a GoPro that needs to be small, compact, high resolution, those things right there kind of lend themselves to generating heat. You've got a high resolution sensor, lots of processing, all that crazy stabilization happening inside a tiny compact body. That's going to generate a lot of heat. And now that body needs to be waterproof. So that means you're not letting air escape or anything. So that's why things tend to overheat with action cameras. It's like they could make it have a lot more airflow, but then it's not going to be weather resistant or water resistant. People are really mad. So I feel like they've tried to strike the best balance. Historically, we've gotten 30, 40 minutes before cameras shut down for overheating. I forget exactly. I have my notes here. I forget what the Hero 13 is rated for off the top of my head. Okay. I had it in my notes. Oh, here we go. 40 to 60 minutes, I believe, is what it's rated for. Let me tell you about my results. So I live in the desert. I went out a couple days ago and I did an overheating test. I put 4 cameras. I put the 10, 11. I'm just going to get them because, I don't know, I'm a visual person. I want you to be able to kind of see them. So I put the 10, the 11, the 12, and the 13, all in the exact same thing. They're all doing 5.3K. They all had hyper smooth turned on, which you're not supposed to. They weren't moving and they were in the sun when I started my overheating test. So actually, here's the video. I'll just read you the part of the video. The burning question with every GoPro release is not if it overheats, but when does it overheat? I think it's important to keep expectations in line when we're talking about a $400 camera that needs to be compact, high resolution, and waterproof, because none of those things lend themselves very well to heat dissipation. But obviously, we also want the best performance out of our cameras. So it's an interesting question to try and answer. And the heat test is where things got spicy. Basically, the thing I saw, which is cool, it's what you would expect, is every model, I'm trying to get my plane of focus here, every model showed an improvement over the last. So the 10 lasted the least, 11 a little longer, 12 a little longer, 13 a little longer. That's good. That's what you would want, right? We want the 13 to last less than the 12. This is not a super scientific test. I'm not a researcher. I just put some cameras out in the sun, pressed record. I had my Sony FX3, this camera, recording, and I had a little kitchen timer going there. So that'll be in my full review. All of the cameras, the 10 through 12 were using the white Enduro battery, and the 13 was using its new battery. And so basically that's the worst condition. The camera's standing still, there was really no breeze or anything, they're in direct sunlight, they have the highest resolution they can film in, and they have stabilization turned on. Those are the worst conditions to generate overheating. In that very scientific test, the Hero 10 lasted 25 minutes and 37 seconds. So it was the shortest one, 25:37. The Hero 11 lasted 34 minutes and 13 seconds, so 9 more minutes. The Hero 12 lasted 46 minutes and 38 seconds, so 12 more minutes. So we're seeing, you know, a decent increase of 10-ish minutes every generation. All three of these cameras overheated before their batteries ran out or their memory cards were full. So the thing is, I couldn't get this to overheat. It recorded for 2.5 hours. And the only reason I stopped the test was because the memory card filled up and the camera had to turn off. It was crazy. I couldn't get it to overheat. And I don't think that's the claim GoPro's making, because they say 40 to 60 minutes. It was 104 degrees outside, and this thing recorded for 2.5 hours. And again, it was crazy because I've never had this problem. The battery started running out. Like, the battery ran out after, like, I don't know, 90 minutes or something. And I was like, oh my God. So I had to plug in an extension cord. And I think I have some photos. Maybe I could even share some of these photos, which would be kind of fun, because this was like a pretty fun situation. Or maybe these are all, you know what, I can be very high-tech and old school at the same time by just showing you some of the footage here. Let's see. No, we don't want to delete all those. Yeah, so here's kind of what it looked like, how I had everything set up. There's my FX3 recording. There's the 4 cameras. I try to make it, you know, as even as possible between all 4 of them. Let's see. Yeah, these were just cool pictures because I was like, yeah, this will be easy peasy. And then what I had to do was, I guess it goes this way. I had to run a long extension cord. What's going on here? I had to run a long extension cord because the Hero 13 was going to run out of battery, and it was still going. And then my FX3 ran out of battery. So, like, I've never had that problem. My FX3 never overheated. It's never overheated. It has a built-in fan. But I've never had it come close to running out of battery when doing overheating tests, because it always lasts longer than the cameras overheat. The FX3 was running out of battery, so I had to get my tri-charge. Speaking of my buddy Peter Lindgren, I had to get my tri-charge with a couple other camera batteries in it, plug that into the FX3 to keep it powered, and then the FX3's memory card filled up, so I had to pull out the Sony a7S III, set up a second camera to film like the last 25 minutes, and then the GoPro, like I said, it didn't stop recording on its own. It filled up its memory card after 2 hours and 26 minutes, 2 hours and 24 minutes, something like that, which is crazy. 46 minutes with the Hero 12 was the best thing. This went for almost 2 hours longer, and it could have kept going. I was like kind of wanting it to overheat because I was ready to be done with this test. And then part of me thought, like, is this a bug? Is this a glitch? Did the camera actually freeze and stop recording like an hour ago or 2 hours ago? And I'm just sitting here like an idiot thinking that it's actually recording. No, it actually worked. I had a very boring 2 hour and 24 minute, you know, whatever, 128 gigabyte file after that. Crazy though. And the thing that, so that kind of made me a believer. If we're talking about the new battery and all the new stuff, that made me think that, like, okay, they're onto something here. I'm trying to get it in. You can sort of see there's like a little heat sink design here, and I thought this was really cool. But this, it's just plastic, so I don't know if it actually does anything. What I have noticed though is the bottom of the camera, where these metal fingers are and the metal magnetic mount. This is what gets hot, and so I think this is the sink. So I think that helped a lot of, I think that helps the air go out, because that was where I noticed the camera was definitely the warmest. So my very scientific overheating test was that I could not get the camera to overheat. I'm sure you can get the camera to overheat if you leave it in a car, if you, like, you know, you go into one of those like solar farms that's shooting the sun like at the turbine thing and the tower or whatever, and you put it in extreme condition, I'm sure you're gonna get the camera to overheat. But it does not seem to be a thing that you really need to consider, especially if you're doing anything under an hour. And that's like awesome. That is a huge, huge leap in the world of action cameras. I couldn't believe it. I just couldn't believe it. So that was my overheating test. I can't wait to go more into that for more. Is it worth purchasing GoPro as a secondary studio camera? I mean, it depends. Like, if you want kind of that wide, like, fishbowl view, they're really fun. If you want, like, maybe a simple top-down shot, they can be really cool. I really did like in the older Hero 7 where I could just plug the camera in through HDMI directly. The camera has, where did my camera go? The camera has an HDMI port right on the side, and then I could just boop, and it's all set. I miss that, but the image quality is so much better on the newer cameras. So yeah, if you're gonna use the GoPro for other things, I wouldn't buy one for just a studio camera. But if you want to use it as for GoPro things and have it as a studio camera, I think that's a good way to go, for sure. So there we go. And yes, Aaron Atem Parecki. It needs to go out to work on a hot sunny day. I live in, our high temperature is 113 degrees Fahrenheit today, so there's no shortage of being able to test these things in the heat for me. I can run down a few other things in my review outline here that I'm thinking of touching on. So I'm going to start the video by essentially recommending who I think the Hero 13 is for. This is all just my opinion. Let's see, I want to make this super clear. So, okay, the thing I want to make clear is that I've been lucky the past few years that GoPro has sent out a camera with zero obligation, just like, check out the camera if you want. Hope you like it. That's cool. That's really, really fun. Prior to that situation, I did not get a new GoPro every year. I had the Hero HD. I have my GoPros right here. So I had my first GoPro here, which was the Hero HD. And this one's crazy. It doesn't work anymore. It's the only one I have that doesn't work. It's also like the rubber, it's that thing where like the rubber coating is sticky now. This is it. Like, I don't know if you can really see in there. There's no back screen. You could buy this little like janky screen that would clip on the back here, but it just sort of gave you like the different modes and the different resolutions. So the max that this could do is 1080-60. You got your little lens, and that is it. And this thing is also not, it's so sticky. This thing is not waterproof. So this was back in the times when you had to then have the big waterproof case that the camera came with, and then it was waterproof and shockproof and stuff, which these are super durable cases. So that was my first GoPro. My second GoPro was this guy here. Let's see. There we go. The Hero 3 Plus, which was kind of the same thing. Like it needed to be in its own case, but this one shot, I don't think this was 4K. It's still no screen on the back. This one shot 2.7K. And this was a really fun camera. I use this a lot. This is really when they started including the app a lot. It's in a 3D printed cage right now. Because actually what I did break the clip. In one of my GoPro reviews, actually, I think it was maybe the Hero 10 review, I was playing with this camera in it on camera, and I broke this clip, so I don't have the housing for it anymore. This is a 3D printed one, because one thing I did use this camera for was when I was teaching, I taught digital media, high school digital media, and my room was kind of divided into like separate labs and studios. And there was one studio where like students would film, and to get better sound and stuff, there was like this big divider they would have to close. But like, I don't really want to leave high school kids unsupervised. So I had this camera in there as like a security camera, and it just ran all day, every day for years, you know, and it still works. Maybe better than my autofocus at least. So this camera, this was a champ. The problem with this is that it was just kind of a pain. Like, you can't see what you're filming. You have to rely on the app a lot. That wasn't really that fun. And so I was super duper excited. The next one I got was the Hero 5. This guy right here. And this was really like, I loved all my GoPros, but this was the first one where it's like, this goes in my camera bag all the time, and I use it just for everything, because this one was the first time the camera was waterproof without needing anything else. You can add a case if you want it to be waterproof deeper, but this was the first time it was waterproof without anything else, and you have a screen on the back. And all these still work too. I'm sure the battery's not charged, but the camera works. And this one also shot 4K. So it was super duper cool. And I had this like when I started my YouTube channel and stuff. It was really fun. I had so much fun with this Hero 5. It's a really, really great camera and a really special camera to me. But there's no built-in fingers or anything, so you have to pop it into this skeleton housing to then be able to mount it on stuff. A couple years later, 2 years later, well, yeah, 5, 7, that would be 2 years later, I bought the Hero 7. And this was funny because I bought this. The reason I bought the Hero 7 was because I wanted the better stabilization that it offered. This was like the first one that had hyper smooth. I think it was the first one, or it had better hyper smooth or something. And so I bought it, and I remember thinking like, I'm probably going to end up returning this, but I just want to see. And I have a review on this. So if you go to an old video on my channel, I have a Hero 5 versus Hero 7 review. And my own review sold me on the thing because I used it in like some bike races and some stuff. And it was the first time that I used something that has what we probably think of as modern stabilization, where it kind of looks like the camera's floating. I don't know if you remember, but prior to that, there used to be like GoPro gimbals and stuff you could put the cameras on, which were kind of a pain and sort of impractical and made the camera a lot bigger. And this was the first time that I was able to, this was the first time I was able to use the camera handheld totally and make it look like it was just floating through the air, which was just like, it was just so cool. So I ended up keeping this one and using it for age. I mean, I used this until GoPro saw me using it years out of date because they were like, hey, do you want the Hero 10? Because your 7 is a little out of date. And the 10, I guess this really started with the 8 and the 9. The 10, I guess it was, I think the 8 was the first one that had the fingers built in. So now you don't need external mounting, which is very cool. The 9 was the first one that had the front-facing screen. All the other ones had screens in the front, but these are just little data LCDs. This was the first one that had, like, you can see yourself on it and, you know, front-facing screen, which is very, very helpful. Or sorry, the 9 was the first one. Then there was the 10. But the big difference between the 9 and the 10, I don't have the 9, the processor inside. The 9 kind of had like the older processor, and it was being asked to do a lot more. So the 9 is like very laggy. The interface is just, it's not necessarily the most fun camera to use. And the 10 really fixed that a lot. I really love the 10 a lot. The 11, the big things that the 11 changed was it added a lot of cool time-lapse modes, and it also added the full frame sensor capability. So what that means with the 11 and the full frame sensor is that, my screen protector is like coming off, is that it's not full frame like my Sony FX3 is full frame, but it's full frame in the way that you're basically filming with the full square sensor. So you can get widescreen or vertical video from the same clip. And that's something I do a lot. I mentioned doing hockey games. I play goalie on our like adult league team. And I like to just stick the GoPro on the glass behind me. I can set it to turn on automatically, record for a couple hours, and then turn off automatically, or just run out of battery because it usually doesn't matter at that point. And I just film in full frame, and then it's super cool because I can do like, I can use the same footage for things like, you know, shorts and stories and reels, but I can also do widescreen. And I'll do a whole video about this if you've never done it. It's very cool because you can literally just like go into your editing app like Final Cut or whatever, edit your whole thing, and then just copy and paste your vertical timeline into a horizontal timeline. And now you have a whole separate like it's very, very cool to be able to do that. That's a huge benefit to the 11. The 12 had some improved power. People didn't like that the 12 had like this blue speckle look. I love it. So I thought that was really cool. The 12 added some fun UI things. It definitely got like a lot snappier and faster. And the 12 was the first one that had the quarter 20 on the bottom. But a lot of people are upset that the 12 took away GPS. So this was the first one, I don't know, since like the 3 or something. First one maybe ever that didn't have built-in GPS, or maybe since the 5 that didn't have built-in GPS. They got rid of it. I'm guessing for the same reason they got rid of HDMI, which was, even though I love built-in HDMI in the port right here, I would guess if you look at the number of people that actually use it, it's probably not very many. And so they got rid of it, which probably saves money and also saves very valuable real estate inside the camera. I have a feeling they did the same thing with GPS. Like, we're putting this thing in there, it's generating a lot of heat, it's consuming battery power. Not a lot of our users are using it. But I think the problem is, even though the media mod is a bit of a clunky thing to bring HDMI back, at least I can. I can pop the camera in here and have HDMI. If you don't have GPS in your camera and you need it, you're stuck. You can't use it. You can't get it. So I think that was a big reason they put GPS back into the Hero 13. And they also did some cool stuff where you can take the metadata and do whatever you want with GPS like you always could, but now in the Quick app you can do like, you can generate really cool overlays, you know, things like the speed that you're going. You can even kind of track yourself across a map or a graphic or whatever. So it's really fun. It's a cool thing, clearly not affecting overheating performance either. So anyway, that was my like GoPro history. I forget why we went on that tangent. I was just trying to point out that when GoPro doesn't send cameras, I don't buy a new GoPro every year. I kind of skip several generations, and when you go from something like the Hero 7 to the Hero 10, like mind blown. If you go from the 12 to the 13, 13 has some big upgrades with the lenses and the mounts and the battery and the overheating performance and all that, but it's not going to feel like a totally different camera. If you go from 7 to the 13, it's going to feel like a totally different camera. So my recommendations in terms of who the GoPro Hero 13 is for is, I think it's for anyone buying their GoPro for the first time or with a camera older than the 9. I would almost say older than the 10, just because the 10, the like performance and just usability is so much better than the 9. But if you have a Hero 9, you're still getting really good image quality, you're still getting good stabilization, still have an awesome form factor. Like, you're probably okay, maybe getting there. It's definitely for someone who wants flexibility with lenses, especially once that anamorphic lens comes out. Super excited for that. Somebody who wants obviously the best battery performance and recording times available on a GoPro by a lot, not just 9 or 10 minute increases, but in my case, at like at least a 2-hour increase. It's crazy. So that's pretty good. It's for someone who wants the magnetic mount or to be able to use the camera with a variety of mounts. You want to, you have a magnetic mount on your car dashboard, boop, and then you take it off there and you just use a 1/4-20 on a little tripod or something. You want to use it with all your old accessories. That's a good use case for it. It's, I don't have it, but it's for someone where that Contacto, that magnetic power supply, that is going to make a huge difference. Like I mentioned, being able to run the camera underwater with power, not something that was really possible before. And it's someone who doesn't mind the camera being a little bit heavier with all that stuff. I think that's pretty much it. So if you're looking to buy a GoPro today, well, I guess this isn't available for a couple weeks, but if you're looking to buy a GoPro now and it's your first one, I would say get the 13, because just jump in with the current top of the line and then it will stay current. Get the Hero 18 or whatever in 5 years and you'll be fine. If you're looking at older models, especially because a new one comes out, sometimes the older ones get less expensive. If you're looking between older models, I would really try to decide between the 11 and the 12. Really, the only difference between these is that the 11 has GPS and the 12 doesn't. The 12 does have some other cool features and some quality of life stuff. Nothing that I think makes it a total game changer, some fun time-lapse modes and things, but image quality, stabilization, all that stuff, pretty much the same between these two cameras. So I would it kind of comes down to price. If you need GPS, the 11 is the way to go. If you don't need GPS, whichever one you can find for the least expensive price is the way to go. The 11 is still in quite a sweet spot, although the small detail, the 12 having the 1/4-20, I don't know if, probably can't show it on camera. My 1/4-20 is like, you can see that it's been used a lot because I use it a lot. Let's see, anything else that I want to touch on in my outline so far in this video? I do have a thing. Which GoPro should you get is how I'll be wrapping up that video. I say obviously the 13 Black is the latest and greatest, so that's the way to go if you need everything, all the features I'll talk about in that video. If you have an 11 or 12, probably not worth the upgrade unless you need or want those really specific features. Sorry, I lost my place. Yeah, unless you will definitely use some of those features. There's also the Hero, which I don't have, the one that was announced today, the smaller GoPro for $199. If you don't want to think about any of that and you just want to turn on a camera, boop, record, and you don't mind a built-in battery, the Hero might be a way to go for a lot less money. I think the 11 is a sweet spot because it's an older model, so it has a lower price, goes on sale a lot. If you have GPS, it's a better choice. The 12 has better battery performance and minor quality of life improvements. So those are the ones I would consider, the 11, 12, or 13. Obviously the 13, you know. A cool thing too is if you're jumping in especially and the 13 takes different batteries, presumably they will keep using those batteries for a number of years, and that's a good place to like not have to, you know, rebuy new batteries next year or anything. If you get the 12 and then you get the 15 or something when it comes out, then you're gonna have to, you know, do some other upgrades. The magnetic mount also, super sweet. So I'm really impressed with the 13. It's a fun camera. So okay, that's pretty much all my GoPro stuff for now. I'm happy to answer any of the questions or show anything else that you want if you want. If not, that's cool too. And if you got questions about anything else for the next couple minutes, happy to answer those, and we can wrap up the stream, and that will be extremely fun. Let's see here. I forgot where I left off here. Ernesto, thanks for making work go by faster. Yeah, you're welcome. I hope I don't get you fired. Hablamos de Terror has Hero 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, but I'm not sure if this one is worth the price for all the lenses. I'm sure you posted that before. I'm sure you were posting that while I was talking my whole thing, so you kind of got my answer there. The lenses are awesome. I didn't put the ultra wide on there. I should do that. The lenses are really fun. I'm really excited for the anamorphic, and I think, well, the ND filters are really nice too, but I'm really excited for the anamorphic lens, and I think that might be the one that, like, that could be the one that pushes people to buy the camera or not. Did I put this on the right camera? I did. So you might want to wait until that anamorphic lens comes out if you think that's something you'd be interested in. And if that's a good one, I think it's going to be $129 for the anamorphic lens. I'll be ordering it as soon as it's available because I'm so excited for it. Let's see here. I'm trying to scan my thing to get clean HDMI. We got that. Pop that in the media mod. I know I've been kind of like, not saying negative things, but I've been sort of, I switched my camera mode. I've been sort of saying like, media mod, media mod. I'm annoyed that I have to use it to get HDMI out, but it is a cool little thing. I actually really like the way the camera feels in the media mod. It's really fun. So for what that's worth, there we go. Let's see, where'd my cable go? On the floor. Okay. And, all right. Did I not? I feel like I did something wrong here. Why am I not getting an HDMI signal? Something I feel like I messed the thing up. It wouldn't be the first time and definitely won't be the last. I don't know, I can't get HDMI out. We'll get there. I think I have a technical difficulties. Oh, I do. I don't need that right now, but I do have a technical difficulties screen just in case things completely go off the rails. I can always do that. All right, here we go. I'm just going to take a second to boot this sucker up. I don't know why my QR code wasn't working right. I am using, they don't have official GoPro Labs firmware out for the 13 yet, so I'm using beta firmware. And I think that might be giving me some issues there. So here, wow, this is wide. I don't know what I did to my white balance. I went back into like auto white balance for some reason. But this is the ultra wide lens attachment. I mean, you can kind of see, I'm not stretching my arm out a lot. My arm's just here, but it's pretty wide there. It's pretty dang wide. So if you don't mind that, if you don't mind that crazy classic GoPro fisheye look, or you want to get the maximum field of view for something, the ultra wide lens still gives you that if you want it, which is pretty cool. I think they found a good balance between like that old school GoPro. It's crazy to say old school GoPro, but that old school GoPro look, the fisheye crazy thing, but also being able to then more easily mix GoPro footage in with, you know, real cameras and other cameras and stuff. So you can kind of do a little bit of everything with them, and I love that. It's really, really fun. Hey, there's my wife. She's great. She's going to be doing a stream on youtube.com/Heather Ramirez at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time if you want to launch your own YouTube channel and get things up and running. Very curious about that. Okay, I see I answered a lot of questions in the chat. That's awesome. The Ace Pro seems sweet. I haven't used it. I've liked all the Insta360 cameras I have. There's that weird controversy where they were like being super shady about sponsorship. So I kind of, yeah. All right, does Elgato have an action camera? They do not. Elgato get on developing one. I don't know if that'd work for Elgato because they're into webcams and stuff, but they're into like the studio environment, stuff you do within your studio. So I don't know if an action camera fits into that. Although I gotta say, it was really nice. Like GoPro did like this little like Q&A session a couple days ago before the launch of the 12, and it was kind of cool to hear them talk in that because they acknowledged, even though like the hype videos for the 13 were all, you know, snowboarding, jumping off of cliffs into water, like all the crazy stuff, and it's like, I don't know, sometimes I put it on my bike, stick it on the glass at the hockey rink. Like, I don't do all that crazy stuff with my GoPro, and I don't think a lot of other people do either. It was kind of nice that they sort of acknowledged that. They were just like, yeah, we know, like, that's not what we're using it for, but if you're using it as a studio camera, if you're using it to mix in with other footage, if you are setting it in place for a long period of time, all that kind of stuff. Yes, the 13 has 24 frames per second. It actually has some crazy high frame rates. That's another thing too that I guess I kind of missed discussing there. And I forget what let me look at my notes. The frame rates are sort of bananas. You, of course, do use resolution. I don't want to say things. Yeah, you have 5.3K 120. So you have 120 frames per second at the full 5.3K. Something people have been asking for a long time. But you can go all the way up to 400 FPS, but that knocks you down to 720. But you're still getting 400 frames per second in some form of high definition, which is pretty cool. And then it also does have HDR video, HLG HDR video, which stands for hybrid log gamma. And essentially what that means is there has been HDR video in GoPros before, but it was almost like great value HDR, like it was kind of like fake HDR, and HLG HDR is true HDR. So you should be noticing a bit more dynamic range if you have that turned on, which I don't think I did in any of these settings. I don't know why I totally changed my whole situation around here. I have ultra hyper view on. Yeah, I guess I'm using the lens. It changed. Oh, that's why. Because I used the lens, it changed some things. I'm gonna switch my white balance back. There we go. So yeah, that's pretty much that. Let's see. I'm just gonna go through some of the notes that I did. Faster Wi-Fi for faster sharing. The interface, the user interface has been improved. I wonder if I could show anything here. Yeah, this is really cool. And especially like if you're not a camera nerd such as myself or a lot of us here, a lot of the settings now, they have like actual explanations that tell you, like, it doesn't just say what the mode is, but it's like, use standard bitrate to minimize file size. High bitrate delivers better image quality, but increases the file size. Cool. So if you don't know anything about bitrate, you're at least gonna be able to know a little bit about bitrate by looking through that, and the whole interface does that. And I know this is like every time there's a Mac OS release and people like Safari seems really snappy. The interface is very, I mean, I can show you as best I can. I haven't done any firmware updates, so I don't know if this is beta firmware, but the interface is like incredibly responsive and very easy to use. Using GoPros for the past several generations has almost been like using a mini Blackmagic camera in terms of the interface, because it's like everything makes sense, everything's right there, everything's easy to navigate, and I love that. The standard lens, so that first standard lens that I had on here does have the same field of view as the previous camera, as a 12, but linear mode is now wider. So linear mode is the one that looks the least GoPro-like, the least fisheye, and the 13's linear mode is wider than the 12, so that's kind of cool. Previously, it kind of had to crop in to do that. That's a neat thing. I'm just trying to go through the lenses. So I mentioned the lenses are not backwards compatible. The ultra wide lens, this one will be $99, and it does let you do like a 1:1 aspect ratio. And it's the only current lens lens mod that's available in USB webcam mode. The macro lens, there we go. The macro lens is $129. Oh, there's focus peaking on the GoPro now, and it's really helpful with the macro lens because you can see what's in focus. You've never had to worry about, like, usually it's like infinity focus on action cameras, so that's kind of cool. There's focus peaking. I've been using that a lot. It's really cool. That's why it's helpful to have notes. And you can still capture wide stuff. I think that's a really important thing for people to know with the macro lens, is that it's not just for macro. It's sort of like if you want wide and macro, this is the lens. This is kind of the option to go with. And there's the anamorphic lens, which is not out yet, but it will be $129. My note just says, I will be ordering ASAP. It looks awesome. It does automatic de-squeeze at a 21:9 aspect ratio. Super cool flares. And we've got the ND filters. These are $69. Camera detects and adjusts shutter speed. So if you want to turn on something called auto cinematic mode, which is going to make everything look smooth and natural, it'll do that for you. But if you want to have full manual control, you can do that too. The battery time is rated at 1.5 hours in 4K and 2.5 hours at 1080. That actually, I got an hour and a half out of the battery at 5.3K when I was doing my overheating test, so that makes sense. And then the mounts are there. Cool. I think those are all my notes. I kind of spoiled everything I have. It's not my whole video, but that's the big stuff right there. So, alrighty. Yes, 24 frames per second. No AI features. I mean, yeah, no, luckily they didn't hype on the AI train, which I'm sort of happy about. I mean, not that the AI features aren't cool. Like, I think Insta's doing some really cool, fun things with their AI stuff, but I was watching Eddie Burbach's AI video, and in part of it, he was like, a lot of stuff that just like computers do is now being called AI, and I'm glad GoPro didn't go that route. Like the fact that it like has stabilization, it's not like AI hyper smooth or something. I think that's cool. If they do add some kind of genuine AI capabilities, it'd be interesting. Yeah, that's cool. GoPros are fun. Action cameras are fun. I like new GoPros, so happy new GoPro day. And thanks for hanging out and going pro with me. Although there were a lot of non-pro mistakes throughout this stream, including the low audio level, so I apologize for that. So yes, I'll be working on this review. It'll probably be out. My goal is to have it out next week because the camera was announced today. I believe you can order it next week, and then you can actually like get it, buy it, delivered on like the 22nd. So I was hoping to do this stream today to kind of try as best I could to give you a hands-on after they announced it. And then I wanted to put out the review before the camera comes out if possible, so that if you want help in your buying decision, maybe that would help you. And we shall see. So all that being said, thanks for hanging out. Check out tomorrow's video. It's not about GoPros at all. It's about the Shure, where is it? Where did I, well, oh, whatever, it's show and tell. How do I not know where it is? I think it's on a stand in a different room. It's about the new Shure SM4 condenser microphone that came out a couple weeks ago. So it's a mic review about a new Shure mic. A new condenser mic from Shure was a Shure big surprise, and I really like the microphone, but it's definitely different than other things they've done. So that's tomorrow's video. Hope you enjoy that. Hope you enjoyed this stream. Appreciate you putting up with my low audio, technical difficulties, all those things. Thank you for all your kindness, support, all the fun times. Hope you have a safe, happy, healthy, fun rest of your day. I got my outro screen here, which will be up for another minute if you want to say adios in the chat and whatnot. Mr. Robbie's asking, when's the next live stream? I don't have a live stream schedule. I like to do one every week or two, and I've been doing that lately. But yeah, so it kind of just depends on like my schedule and when I can fit one. And if there's a day like today where the stars align, then I just hop on and do a stream. So there we go. Thanks so much, guys. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I'm going to pop up that outro, and I'll see you all next time.